Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of New Child TV, aka the Inspiration Station. More of those jewels that they don't teach you in school. And what I want to talk about today is how we sometimes can hold other people more accountable for their shortcomings than we hold ourselves accountable for our shortcomings. And an example of that is even with our children, for people out there, men and women who are parents already, or maybe parents to be, who maybe even if like for parents to be, right? If you've had siblings or little brothers and little sisters, or even older brothers and older sisters, I'm sure y'all can relate to this. So parents as well as siblings, in particular, that sometimes, and I'm gonna give an example as far as parents with children. Sometimes we can tell our kids, "Hey, don't do this and don't do that and don't do this and don't do that," but we're doing the same thing. We're telling them not to do. So we're telling our kids, hey, don't smoke weed, don't drink, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. But if and when they see us do it, it's like, well, damn, mom, dad, unc, you know what I'm saying? Grandma, grandpa, neighbor, whoever, OG, old head, unc, you telling me not to smoke, you telling me not to drink, but you doing it. Now it's a difference if you used to, you no longer, and you're telling the youngster, hey, I think you should leave that alone. I think you should cut that out or whatever. It's a big difference because they're not looking at you like you a hypocrite or you contradicting yourself because they saying, excuse me, this man or woman is telling me something of value, number one, but I see that they're not doing what they're telling me not to do. And a lot of times we can do that, especially with our children. And I'm very, very much conscious of that when it comes to my children. I'm not going to tell them to do something, not to do something, and I'm doing it. Right? Now, there can be fine line exceptions. For example, I'll give you an example. I told my youngest daughter about getting a tattoo. Now, I have 13 tattoos, but even though I have them, number one, I'm a man. Now, follow me when I say this. Hope I don't lose y'all when I say this, but as a man, overall, tattoos are more acceptable. On women, even though there are all sorts of women around the world who have tattoos and they look beautiful on y'all. That's not what I'm saying. It's a matter of me, when I told my youngest daughter, I don't think you should get a tattoo, it's because of what my father taught me. That sometimes perception and how people see things for the first time or just in general, or every time they see you, that perception can become stronger than fact. So they can think, oh, because you have a tattoo, that maybe you were in the gang. This is just how some people are brought up, because they were taught by their parents and their neighbors and their church going folk that if you see people with tattoos, male or female, especially if they black or Latino, and even some white guys or whatever, white girl, then that means that they have either been to jail or they're in a gang. And I've heard that come out of people's mouths, literally, that that's what they were taught as children. So what I told my daughter is this: I'm not, I don't, she's an adult now. But I told her, I said, listen, remember, a tattoo is forever. Now you see, I have my mom on my neck. I got set on my chest, my stomach, my back, arms. But I told her, I said, it's a different perception when people look at you. And another thing I told her, I said, it's ultimately your choice. But I'm gonna tell you, coming from a man like me with 13 tattoos, I would more so prefer a woman who doesn't have tattoos. And I told her there are a lot of men out here that are like that with tattoos. They may have tattoos all the way up to here, you know what I'm saying? But they may want their woman without them. So I'm not saying that she should refrain from getting them just because a man's approval. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a level of class, right? That people can look at you and think, and say, damn, she don't have, because I met a young lady like that not too long ago. She was half Jamaican, half Italian. Beautiful young lady, gorgeous, and no tattoos. And I told her, I said, I prefer mine like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's something I told my daughter. I said, I'm not telling you what to do with your body. I'm suggesting that you refrain from marking your body for a number of reasons. Because not everybody is going to be happy with what they put on their body forever 5 years after they do it. Because I know some guys who regret their tattoos. I don't regret none of mine. And I'm going to actually get more. And some of them I'm getting stuff done over it, whatever. But, all meaningful and all tattoos that I will love to live with and die with on my body. But that's just one example, of like how, you know, even though I have them, I'm telling my daughter just to think about it, right? That's not a situation where I'm saying to her, you better not, you're gonna be you're a slut if you do that. But then I'm going to get a tattoo the next morning. See, I'm not condemning her. I'm just educating her. But we have a habit a lot of times to condemn other people for their mistakes, for their shortcomings, for their, if you want to say repetitive mistakes. And then we turn around and do the same thing, or worse, and we're not that hard on ourselves. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've been guilty of that with people overall, in general, where there's been times in my life where I had to catch myself and say, no, are you being that hard on yourself? Because just the other day, knucklehead, you did X, Y, and Z and A, B, and C. But you just told this dude, or you told that dude, or you told, and why don't you not have that same energy, or if not more, for your own shortcoming? That's my point to y'all. When it comes down to it, and we really, scolding people and what we call it, what's the word I'm looking for? When you really, damn, oh man, it'll come to my mind. Roasting. That's the word I'm looking for. You sometimes you'll roast the hell out of somebody for doing something lame or goofy, or certain mistakes or whatever, that you go, man, how did you make that mistake? But you turn around and make the same mistake. You got on their helmet about it, and then you go do the same thing. And you may go do it 2 and 3 times after you scolded them for doing it one time. So just be mindful, ladies and gentlemen, of checking yourself and making sure all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, and you have your things in line before you go over here and over there and right here on this screen and getting on social media, in particular YouTube, and telling people, no, don't do this, and no, and you're gonna, and you're not a real man if you, and you're not a real woman if you, and you're going to hell if you get a tattoo. You know what I'm saying? And then 2 hours later, you in the tattoo parlor. All the things that you condemning others for doing, you're not condemning yourself. And if you are, you soft on yourself. And the first person you need to check is you. And that is what qualifies you to check others. If you don't check yourself, don't come over here with me or to me or anybody else. And that's what I learned myself for catching myself when I was doing that. When I was being wrong, dead wrong, chastising or roasting or coming down on somebody for doing something that I deemed as inappropriate or foul or lame or goofy or whatever. And I'm like, yo, I came down on them hard like that, but I ain't even coming down. You know what I'm saying? I had to catch my like, yo, what am I doing? Yo, you got to check yourself 10 times more harder if you want to say and thorough first. So now when you say that to them, it ain't just you saying it with conviction, you genuine with it because you already doing the work on yourself. So when you say it, it lands even more stronger and more with more truth laying beneath it, man, and within it. So I think that's something that a lot of us have been guilty of. And we really need to be conscious of it in these days and times because, you know, a lot of people, suffering in silence, they're going through a lot. So people may be drinking a little bit more than normal. They may be smoking a little bit more weed. They may be, taking some harder drugs, to deal with the pain, deal with losing their jobs or find out they have a terminal illness. Um, Breakups, especially in times where money is really tight and it's hard for people to maintain a job. They might have been through 3 different companies in the last 4 years, and it seems like they can't find that place where they can stick and know that their career, is solid for the next at least 5 years straight or 10 years straight. So sometimes having consideration as well as empathy for people goes a long way. Now I wouldn't say sometimes, all the times it does. Whether they embrace it or not, just by you putting it out there and bringing it to them, you did your job, and it does go a long way within the universe, right? For you putting out that type of frequency. But also, in closing, I would say, continue to make sure that you are checking your own temperature, your own behavior, your own shortcomings before you condemn or criticize or chastise anybody else for theirs. Take that and run with it. One love.